Okay, turns out there were things that I had to do today, but I'm going to record at least two. Put them up over the next few days. School started for my brother and for my girlfriend. Since I'm online, I don't have to go to school. So, yeah, I will have a lot more time to record now. And also, I'm losing my job at the end of September, and I won't. And my birthday is in November, and I'll be turning 18. So I'm just gonna wait till then to get a job. So I'll have the entire month of October free. So I'm gonna try and finish this fanfic then, when I will have nothing to do most days. Without further ado, we continue. Chapter 20. The Angels of RWBY. This was the name designated to Josh and his squad after they were promoted to pilot rank. It had been just 2 days since the time of Demon's death, and it had hit the militia hard. Morale was destroyed, people left, and many lost hope. The militia needed a new top-notch pilot that everyone could look up to, so they enlisted Josh into the program. He had been given the moniker Archangel, after doing something that he still couldn't believe. During the first months of Demon's time as a pilot, he was mortally wounded and medically died. He had no heartbeat, and should have been left there. Josh just happened to stumble across his body in the middle of a destroyed building, and tried to help. He had only just heard the insane feats that Demon had performed in a short time being a pilot. Back then, Josh was just a foot soldier. Before he was a soldier, he was a doctor. Knowing that there was the slimmest chance of the legendary pilot surviving, he got to work. He had to cut off roughly half the pilot's jumpsuit so he could access the wound, and nearly gave up then and there. The massive exit hole of a solid shotgun shell was staring right in front of Demon's lower left chest. He pressed on and pulled out the massive bullet that was still lodged in the pilot's body. After extracting it, he began his work. Using blood from a dead grunt that was missing a head and also happened to be next to Demon, he transferred the blood, hoping to high hell that they were the same blood type. Ripping off one of the smaller coolant tubes from the pilot's parkour kit, he began siphoning the blood from the grunt's body, putting the other end into the vein under the arm of Demon. Using a salvaged arc grenade, he made a rough calculation on the radius and primed it, throwing the grenade so that Demon was just within the radius. When it exploded, much to his relief, the new blood began spurting out of the pilot's body. He hastily ripped off his shirt and used it to make as a makeshift bandage for the wound. After doing as much as he could, he hoisted the pilot over his shoulders and made it to an evacuation dropship that he had requested. He had farewelled the crew and went back to the fight, trying to save as many lives as possible, and only found out after the battle that he managed to save Demon's life. The pilot had congratulated the grunt on 2 occasions. He had requested that Josh be promoted to grunt field medic, still wasn't a pilot, but he couldn't complain, and also that he was to be the first receiver of a special award that Demon requested be made. He received the Angelic Savior Medal, a medal specially reserved for those who went above and beyond the line of duty to save someone with little to no actual medical supplies. They fought side by side for some time during the Frontier Wars, but eventually they were split up after Josh was assigned to a different fleet. After the news of Demon's death hit the fleet, the new pilot training program was introduced. Josh was accepted because Demon had put in a good word a long time ago and trained for a month to become a pilot. After he passed, he was integrated into a part of the Angels of RWBY, the name of their home planet, the so-called replacements for Demon. This consisted of Jaeger Dempsey, their sniper, Tempest Lucrin, their heavy weapon expert, Marcus Percival, the scientist dude of the squad, and lastly, Josh the medic. Their first mission was on the planet of Sierra Nulima on a hardpoint control mission. The mission went very well until the last few minutes of the battle. The IMC of the planet suddenly activated a hidden turret array from out of nowhere and gunned down the courier that was stationed over the planet, cutting the ground troops from support. They had handled it pretty well until the IMC pilots called in their Titans. The militia ordered an evacuation to salvage anything they could from the mission, but everything was gunned down in a matter of seconds because of the insane amount of fire that went from the turrets. The squad were forced to make an extraction from the one place the enemy couldn't possibly expect, right above the base. The Angels of RWBY and 2 other pilots had to sneak in through the entire firing line of the IMC just to make it anywhere near the extraction zone. When the dropship came in, the other 2 pilots sprinted forward and jumped in. The Angels followed next. Just before they could make it there, 2 Titans with rocket pods dashed out of a nearby hangar and blasted the dropship to oblivion. The Angels were able to take them down with the help of Tempest's 2-amped Archer missile pods. The base now knew exactly where they were. They hastily jumped into the underground tunnels so they could escape the search party, splitting up to make sure they had the biggest chance of survival. They hid about an hour before they were messaged by Tempest to make their way to the surface. Josh, Marcus, and Jaeger all made it there and were slightly confused when they made their way back. Waiting for them at the exit of the tunnels was an entire squad of IMC pilots, guns pointed at them. They dropped their weapons and slowly walked forward, hands behind their back. "Damn, Tempest never should have been trusted," commented Jaeger, hate seeped in his voice. "I'm sure there is a reason to explain this," Josh said, not sure if this was the demo expert's fault. Just as they made it about a meter from the pilots holding up the gun point, they heard a very obnoxious noise coming from just over the next building from them. They heard Flight of the Valkyries playing at full volume from a Goblin dropship that was currently banking to face them. As it finished its turn, it spooled up its nose minigun and gunned down the IMC pilots. It turned to its side and opened the side door, revealing Tempest with a massive grin on his face. "Miss me, mofos?" he asked before jumping back to the controls. The others just shook their head and jumped on board, the dropship ascending to prepare for their escape. The turrets were not set to target one of their own dropships, and the people stationed there had to resort to manual firing, allowing Tempest to evade their fire with mixed success, rather than being blown out of the sky in seconds. "I'm sure it's wise to let the demolitions expert fly?" asked Marcus, hanging onto his seat with white knuckles. "Hey, I can fly perfectly fine," shouted Tempest back from the cockpit. He made another steep banking turn, and loud clunking sound was heard. Something flew off the side. Everyone in the back just paled and held on tighter. As they waited for the evasive flying to stop, they looked up out the window and were greeted by one thing they definitely didn't want to see. The main railgun cannon of the complex was actually spinning up to fire at them, being wider than the entirety of the ship they were in. "Tempest, warp, now!" screamed Josh, knowing they had little time to explain the blast. "What? I don't just do it!" With great hesitance, Tempest activated the warp drives, and the ship began its startup sequence. The white bulbous of energy filled everyone's vision. Only they weren't white, they were red. As the railgun fired, the dropship warped at that exact moment, and was warped to another world. They busted out of the warp and lost all power, crashing helplessly to the surface, on the planet they were currently on. Systems were fried, and they were lucky to be alive, the only light source being the moon that was shattered. Tempest tried the door, but it was locked, shut from the impact. So he activated the explosive bullets and it flew off. The 4 pilots slowly made their way out of the craft and tried to get a bearing on where they were. Just after they did, they heard massive, resounding footsteps coming closer. Tempest immediately jumped into action and pulled his 2 rocket launchers off his back and fired in the general direction of the sound. About a second later, a blue shield popped up out of nowhere and blocked the rockets, sending them to the ground. "Well, we're screwed," Josh commented, accepting the inevitable. Back to current time, Demon's perspective. "Did you say demon?" asked the one that looked like a scientist. "No, obviously I said pink fluffy unicorn," deadpan Demon, replying as sarcastically as possible. "I'm sorry then, I must get my ears checked," replied the man, actually sounding like he was serious. "No, Marcus, it's alright, he's just kidding," said Josh, having to explain the sarcasm to the scientist. "Anyways, you look nothing like Demon, and he's been dead for over a month." "Well, that's obviously a lie, because here I am. How do I know that for sure?" Demon smiled and jumped off the chain gun he was standing on, landing with a loud thump, and walked up to Josh. All the others held up their weapons, ready to kill him if he did anything. When he made it to a foot about Josh, he pulled off his left gauntlet and revealed a black angel tattoo with small devil horns on the sides of his wrist. Josh looked completely shocked before taking off his glove and revealing the exact same tattoo on the inside of the left wrist as well. Tattoo meant one thing: they were battle brothers. The day Demon was saved by Josh, he had them both have it inked on so that Josh would always knew he was under Demon's protection, no matter what happened. Josh embraced Demon and broke off after exchanging pleasantries. "So I see you finally managed to become a pilot, you damn hypocrite pacifist." The annoying thing that Demon found out about Josh was that he was a pacifist, in the middle of a war. He could shoot completely fine, being almost as good as Demon himself, but he hesitated to kill enemy soldiers and instead shot to maim or injure, and only when his own life was in danger. He would just usually stay back in every battle and deal with the injured until the battle eventually found its way to him, and he would try to talk the enemy down, usually resulting in him getting shot and having to kill the person who shot him. "Yeah, it happened about a day after you died. What even happened?" "Well, that's a long story." One very long story later, a story that also contained everything they needed to know about Remnant and their current situation, but Demon made sure to leave out the part about his mother and sisters. "So, we're stuck on a completely unknown planet with evil monsters that are trying to wipe out humanity off the face of the earth of said planet. Fun, I know, right?" "Yeah, fun wouldn't be the word I would use to explain our current situation." "Well, I might as well take you back to the others and let them fill you in more. I was knocked out for about a month, so they know more than me." "Okay then. Who else is with you, though?" "Well, I managed to make it with my Titan, a militia grunt and an IMC grunt." Everyone tensed at the mention that he brought an IMC grunt. "Don't worry, she's cool. Anyways, let's get going." He finished the sentence. A massive explosion. Just as he finished the sentence, there was a massive explosion that was heard off in the distance. The faint outline of a dust cloud blocking the black night sky. "Explosion!" shouted Tempest. His voice was filled with joy. Let me guess. Your friends? Sarcastically asked Josh. Well, $5 it is, deadpan Demon, jumping into his Titan. He picked up the others and began sprinting to the building he left them in. When he made it there, he used his parkour kit to instantly jump to the second story to where the fire was. He found all their gear was still there, but no one was there to tend it. He found a small note on the pillow of his sleeping bag. Dear Demon, we're just heading out on something and we'll be back soon. From the team. As he finished reading the note, another explosion was heard off in the distance. Something tells me they're not exactly going to be back soon.